What if I told you that your specific person has already changed? That the shift you've been waiting for, the transformation you've been imagining, has already occurred at the level of consciousness, and the only thing left is for it to appear in the 3D. I know how that sounds. I know the logical part of your mind is pointing to all the evidence that nothing has changed, that they're still acting the same way, that the physical world shows no signs of movement. But what if I could prove to you, using the documented teachings of Neville Goddard, the most powerful consciousness teacher who ever lived, that consciousness shifts before reality shifts? And what if I could show you the unmistakable signs that your beloved has already been transformed by your imagination, even if their behavior hasn't caught up yet? Let me start with something that happened to me 14 months ago. Something that changed everything I thought I knew about manifestation, timing, and the invisible shifts that occur before physical evidence appears. I had been doing sats every night for 6 weeks, imagining a scene that implied my specific person and I were deeply in love. But nothing in the 3D had changed. They were still distant, they were still unavailable, they were still showing up exactly as they had before I started imagining. You know that feeling, don't you? That frustrating disconnect between what you're assuming and what you're seeing. The way you start to doubt whether your imagination is doing anything at all. The creeping fear that maybe the law doesn't work for you, maybe your specific person is different, maybe this situation is the exception. I was on the verge of giving up when I found a lecture that Neville gave in 1969. And in it, he said something that rewired my entire understanding. The outer world is always the last to change. It is the shadow, not the substance. When you shift in consciousness, the shift is already complete. What you see in the physical world is simply the past still being printed out. The new story is already written. You are simply waiting for the old pages to run out. That lecture led me down a rabbit hole that changed my life because I discovered that I had been looking for evidence in the wrong place. I was staring at the 3D, waiting for it to change, when the change had already happened in consciousness. I was watching the shadow, expecting it to move first, when the object casting the shadow had already shifted. For over 30 years, Neville gave lectures to thousands of people about the power of imagination. And in lecture after lecture, he revealed something that most of us have never truly understood. The shift happens first in the unseen. The physical world always follows, and there are specific signs that tell you the shift has already occurred, even when the 3D looks exactly the same. But before I share with you the 7 signs that your specific person has already shifted, signs that might explain things that have been happening in your own experience, I need to tell you what Neville Goddard discovered about the nature of consciousness, time, and the relationship between the inner and outer worlds. The foundation of the shift. In 1959, a woman came to Neville, frustrated because she had been imagining her estranged husband returning to her for months. But he was still living with another woman. He still hadn't called. He still showed no signs of wanting reconciliation. She wanted to know if her imagination was actually working or if she was just fooling herself. When Neville explained the law of assumption, what came through wasn't just technique, it was revelation. He explained that consciousness and the physical world operate on different timelines. When you imagine something with feeling and fall asleep in that state, the shift in consciousness is instantaneous. It happens the moment you accept the new state as real. But the physical world is like a massive ship. It takes time to turn. The new course has been set, but the ship hasn't completed the turn yet. And here's the part that gave me chills. Neville said that by the time you see the change in the 3D, the shift happened long ago. The physical manifestation is never the moment of creation. It's the moment of recognition. It's not when the change occurs, it's when you finally see what already changed. Your beloved shifted in consciousness the moment your imagination impressed them deeply enough. Everything since then has just been the physical world catching up to what already happened in the realm of mind. This isn't just beautiful spiritual poetry. According to Neville, this is how the universe actually works. And if you know what signs to look for, you can recognize that your specific person has already shifted, even when the 3D is still showing you the old story. The mystery deepens. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Neville discovered that the shift in consciousness always produces signs, ripples that extend from the unseen into the seen. These aren't the full manifestation. They're not your specific person showing up at your door declaring their love. They're subtler than that. They're the evidence that consciousness has moved, that the inner world has rearranged, that your beloved is no longer the same person they were before your imagination touched them. But here's the challenge. Most of us have been taught to only accept physical proof as evidence. We want the text. We want the call. We want the grand gesture. We've been conditioned to dismiss the subtle signs, to explain them away as coincidence, to keep waiting for the obvious 3D confirmation. Neville called this the blindness of the senses. He said that by ignoring the signs of the shift, you're not just missing encouragement, you're actively contradicting the new assumption. Think about it this way. What if your beloved has already changed at the level of consciousness? What if the shift has already occurred? What if the signs are everywhere, but you're so focused on the absence of the full manifestation that you're telling consciousness, I don't believe it's working? If you've ever noticed something subtle that made you think your specific person might be shifting, if you've ever caught a sign that disappeared before you could be sure, I want you to hit that like button, because what I'm about to share might just confirm what you already sensed was happening. Sign 1, the inexplicable piece. Let me share the first sign that your specific person has already shifted. And I want you to really pay attention, because this might be exactly what you've been experiencing. According to Neville Goddard's teachings, one of the most reliable signs that a shift has occurred is a sudden, inexplicable sense of peace about the situation. A peace that wasn't there before, that didn't come from any external change, that simply appeared as if a switch had been flipped inside you. This is not the peace that comes from giving up. This is not the peace of resignation. This is different. This is a deep, quiet knowing that everything is working out, a release of the desperate grip, a sense that the outcome is somehow already secured, even though nothing in the physical world has changed. Neville explained that this peace is not random. It is your consciousness registering that the shift has occurred. When you finally impress your assumption deeply enough on consciousness, both yours and your beloved's, something relaxes inside you. The anxiety releases. The obsessive checking stops. You move from hoping to knowing, from wanting to having, from desperation to certainty. I remember the moment this happened in my own manifestation, after weeks of anxiety, of checking my phone constantly, of over-analyzing every piece of non-communication. Suddenly one morning I woke up and the desperation was gone. Nothing had happened externally. My specific person hadn't reached out, but something inside me had shifted. I felt like it was already done. I felt like I was just waiting for the delivery of something I'd already ordered. Later, when I studied Neville's material on this phenomenon, I learned that this peace is the Sabbath, the state of rest that follows the completed work of creation. When you feel this peace, it's because the shift has already happened. Your consciousness knows, even if your physical senses can't perceive it yet. The deal is done, the contract is signed. Now you're just waiting for the paperwork to be processed. Sign 2, the sudden disinterest in the old story. The second sign that Neville Goddard documented extensively is a sudden loss of interest in the old story. The drama, the pain, the reasons why it ended, the analysis of what went wrong. According to Neville, when you've truly shifted in consciousness, the old story simply loses its grip on you. It stops being interesting. It stops being relevant. It becomes like a movie you've already seen too many times. Neville explained that as long as you're still fascinated by the old story, you're still living in it. As long as you're still rehashing what happened, still analyzing their behavior, still explaining to friends why things ended, you're pouring energy into the old assumption. But when the shift occurs, the old story naturally releases its hold. In lecture after lecture, Neville described how people would report a sudden disinterest in discussing their situation. They stopped wanting to vent. They stopped finding meaning in the drama. They stopped caring about being right about what happened. They just moved on internally, even before anything moved externally. Let me tell you about Robert, whose story Neville shared in a 1964 lecture. His wife had left him for another man, and for months he obsessed over the betrayal. He analyzed every conversation, he replayed every fight, he built elaborate narratives about why she was wrong and he was right. His friends were tired of hearing about it, he was tired of living it. Then he discovered the law and began imagining his wife returning, happy and in love with him. For weeks, nothing changed. But one morning, he realized he hadn't thought about the betrayal in days. He didn't care anymore why she left. He didn't care about being right. The story that had consumed him had simply become boring. That, Neville told him, is the sign that your consciousness has left the old story behind. You are no longer a resident of that state. You have moved to the new state, and the old one has lost its power over you. Your wife will follow because she can only reflect back who you are now. 6 weeks later, she called. She didn't understand why, but she couldn't stop thinking about him. She wanted to come home. Sign 3, the echo effect. The third sign that Neville Goddard taught is one that almost always appears when a shift has occurred. You start hearing about your specific person from unexpected sources. or hearing things about them that match your new assumption. Neville called this the echo effect, consciousness reflecting back your new story through various channels. This isn't about your beloved reaching out directly. This is about the universe beginning to mirror your assumption in indirect ways. A mutual friend mentions them out of nowhere and says something that aligns with what you've been imagining. You overhear a conversation that seems impossibly relevant. You see something on social media that hints at an internal shift. You receive information through unexpected channels that confirms movement is happening, and Neville was very specific about this. When your assumption has taken root in consciousness, reality begins to echo it back before the full manifestation appears. These echoes are not coincidences. They are the first ripples of the shift reaching the physical world. They are consciousness confirming that the change has occurred and is now making its way toward full physical expression. I'll never forget when this happened in my own experience. After weeks of imagining my specific person telling me they loved me, a co-worker who had never mentioned them suddenly brought them up in conversation. "I ran into your person the other day," she said. "They asked about you, seemed really interested in how you were doing." I hadn't told this co-worker anything about my situation. I hadn't mentioned my specific person in months. But consciousness was echoing my assumption back to me, showing me that the shift was real. These echoes are not the manifestation itself. They're the evidence that the manifestation is on its way. When you start noticing them, when unexpected channels begin reflecting your new story back to you, trust that the shift has occurred. Your beloved is already different. The world is just starting to show you. Sign 4. The strange moments of knowing. Perhaps one of the most fascinating signs that Neville documented involves what he called flashes of knowing. Sudden, brief moments where you know the manifestation is done, where you feel your beloved's love as if it were already physically present, where the reality of your assumption breaks through into your conscious awareness. These moments come without warning. You might be doing something completely unrelated, washing dishes, driving to work, standing in line at the grocery store, and suddenly you feel them, not just thinking about them, feeling their presence, feeling their love, feeling the relationship as if it already exists. For a moment, there is no doubt. For a moment, there is only certainty. Neville explained that these flashes are not imagination in the ordinary sense. They are breakthroughs, moments where your consciousness in the new state becomes so strong that it overrides the evidence of your physical senses. They are glimpses of the reality that already exists in the realm of mind, pressing through into your awareness. The key, according to Neville, is recognizing these moments for what they are. They are not random good feelings. They are not wishful thinking that will lead to disappointment. They are your consciousness showing you what is already true at the level of cause. When these moments come, and they will, let them strengthen your faith. Let them remind you that the shift has occurred. Let them anchor you in the new state. A woman in one of Neville's lectures described having these flashes repeatedly over a period of weeks. Each time, she felt her beloved's love so strongly that it brought her to tears, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming reality of the feeling. "It's like I can feel him loving me right now," she said, "even though we haven't spoken in months." Neville smiled and told her, "You can feel him loving you because he is loving you. The shift has occurred. What you're feeling is not imagination, it's reality. The physical world just hasn't caught up yet." Sign 5. The behavior of others changes. The fifth sign is one that Neville considered particularly revealing. Before your specific person fully reflects the shift, other people in your life begin to treat you differently. They treat you as someone who is loved, chosen, secure, even though nothing has visibly changed in your relationship situation. Neville made a crucial point about this. Everyone in your reality is you pushed out. They are mirrors reflecting your state of consciousness back to you. When you shift into the state of being loved by your specific person, everyone, not just your specific person, begins to reflect that state. Friends might suddenly comment on how happy you seem. Strangers might treat you with unusual warmth. Other people might show romantic interest. The world begins to treat you as the person you have become in consciousness. Why does this happen before your specific person fully shifts? Because the people around you have less resistance to your new state. They have no old story to overcome. They have no defenses against the new you. They simply reflect what they encounter. So they shift first, previewing the treatment you'll soon receive from your beloved. Neville documented countless cases of this phenomenon. People would report that before their specific person reconciled, their entire social world had shifted. Co-workers treated them better. Family members were suddenly more supportive. Strangers were friendlier. It was as if the universe was rehearsing the new reality with everyone except the specific person. And then, once the pattern was established, the specific person joined in. And if you've noticed that people in your life are suddenly treating you as someone who is loved and secure, even though your beloved hasn't visibly changed, trust it. This is not unrelated to your manifestation. This is your manifestation beginning to appear. Your specific person is simply the last domino to fall, but the dominoes are already falling. Sign 6, the dreams that feel like memories. The sixth sign involves dreams, but not ordinary dreams. According to Neville, when a shift has truly occurred in consciousness, you begin to have dreams about your specific person that don't feel like dreams at all. They feel like memories. They feel like actual events that happened. They feel so real that when you wake up, you have to remind yourself that it hasn't happened in the 3D yet. Neville explained that these dreams are not just your subconscious processing your desires. They are actual experiences in the realm of imagination, and imagination, he insisted, is more real than the physical world. When your consciousness has fully accepted the new state, it begins generating experiences that match that state. You live your desired reality in the dream state because at the level of consciousness you already have it. The key detail that distinguishes these dreams from ordinary dreams about your beloved, they don't have the quality of longing. You don't wake up sad that it isn't real. You wake up feeling like it is real, like you just came back from actually being with them. There's no sense of fantasy, no sense of wish fulfillment. There's just the quiet knowing that you experience something true. A man in one of Neville's lectures described having dreams about his estranged beloved where they were living together, cooking dinner, having ordinary conversations. They're not romantic fantasies, he said. They're boring, everyday moments, and they feel more real than my waking life. Neville told him that this was the surest sign that the shift had occurred. You are dreaming memories, he said. Memories of a future that consciousness has already created. The physical world is simply the last to receive the news. If your dreams about your specific person have shifted from longing to having, from wanting to being, from fantasy to reality, trust what your dreams are telling you. The shift has occurred. You're not imagining a future, you're remembering one. Sign 7, the ultimate sign. But the seventh and most powerful sign that Neville Goddard taught is also the most subtle. You catch yourself referring to your specific person differently, in your thoughts, in your private inner conversations, in the way you hold them in your mind. The desperate longing has been replaced by affectionate certainty. The anxiety about whether they'll come back has shifted to peace about the relationship you already have. The person you used to pine for has become the person you simply love. Neville called this the change in inner speech. He explained that our inner conversations, the things we say to ourselves about others, about situations, about life, are the true measure of our state. When your inner speech about your beloved shifts from wanting to having, from hoping to knowing, from anxiety to love, the shift in consciousness is complete. And this isn't about forcing yourself to think positively. This isn't about affirmations you don't believe. According to Neville, this is your consciousness revealing where it actually lives. When you catch yourself thinking about your specific person with the quiet confidence of someone who is already loved by them, you have moved states. The old you, who was desperate for them, is gone. The new you, who has them, has taken their place. It might show up when you think about the future and automatically include them. It might show up when someone mentions relationships and you feel like someone in a relationship, not someone who wants one. It might show up when you catch yourself smiling about something they'll say or do, as if you're remembering forward. Neville was very clear about this. When your inner speech has shifted, the manifestation is inevitable. You are no longer hoping for something external to change. You have become the person for whom this is already reality. Your beloved must now conform to who you have become, because everyone in your world is always reflecting your state back to you. The deeper truth. Now here's what Neville Goddard understood that most people miss. These signs aren't just nice confirmations to help you feel better during the waiting period. They're evidence of a fundamental truth about how reality works. The inner world always shifts before the outer world. According to Neville, when you desire someone and successfully assume the feeling of having them, you don't start a process that might work. You complete a shift that must express. The shift in consciousness is the manifestation. The physical appearance is just the echo, the shadow, the inevitable result of what has already occurred in the realm of cause. Your beloved has not remained unchanged by your imagination. They cannot. Everyone is you pushed out. When you shift, they shift. When you move to a new state, they have no choice but to rearrange themselves to match that state. The person who rejected you, who seemed uninterested, who appeared to have moved on, that person no longer exists in your consciousness. And since they are a reflection of your consciousness, they can only show you who they have become. But here's the key. Recognizing the signs strengthens the manifestation. When you acknowledge that the shift has occurred, when you trust the evidence of the inner world over the evidence of the outer world, you stabilize in the new state. You stop wavering. You stop going back to the old assumption. You give consciousness the consistent signal it needs to fully print the new reality into the 3D. Neville often said that doubt is the only thing that can delay a manifestation. When you see the signs that your specific person has shifted and you trust them, when you stop demanding physical proof and accept the inner evidence, you remove doubt from the equation. And without doubt, the manifestation must appear. This doesn't mean you ignore the 3D completely. It means you understand what you're looking at. The 3D is the past. The signs are the present. Your assumption is the future becoming now. When you can see all three levels clearly, you stop being confused by the delay. You understand that everything is exactly on schedule. Personal integration. I want you to think about this for a moment. What if your beloved has already changed? What if the shift you've been waiting to see has already happened in the realm where all shifts occur? What if the peace you've been feeling, the disinterest in the old story, the echoes from unexpected sources, what if all of these are not wishful thinking, but accurate perception? What if you've been receiving evidence of the shift all along, but dismissing it because it didn't come in the form you expected? And what if by trusting these signs, by acknowledging the shift that has already occurred, you could collapse the time between the inner change and the outer manifestation? What if your faith in the unseen is the final ingredient that brings everything into physical form? This is what Neville Goddard offered the world. Not just a technique for changing others, but a revelation about the nature of reality itself. A roadmap for understanding that consciousness is cause and the physical world is effect. A way to recognize the shift in your specific person before it fully appears, because you understand that the inner world always leads the outer. If you've been experiencing any of these signs, if you've noticed the shifts I've described, I want you to do something. I want you to stop discounting them. Stop explaining them away. Stop waiting for the physical proof that will come after you've accepted the inner proof. Instead, let the signs anchor you in certainty. Let them be the evidence that your consciousness accepts. Let them be enough. And share your experiences in the comments. Tell us about the signs you've noticed. Heart the stories that resonate with yours. Because when we share these experiences, when we validate each other's perception of the inner shift, we strengthen the faith of everyone in this community. And faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. The transformative ending, eh? Here's what I want you to take with you as we close. Your specific person has already shifted, not will shift, or might shift, or could shift if you imagine hard enough. Has shifted already. The person you've been imagining loving you, that person now exists in consciousness, and consciousness is the only place where anything is ever created. The 3D hasn't caught up yet, that's all. The shadow hasn't moved to match the new position of the object. The old pages are still printing out, but the new story is already written. Every sign you've noticed, the peace, the release of the old story, the echoes, the knowing, the different treatment from others, the dreams that feel like memories, the shift in your inner speech, these are not previews of a shift that might happen. They are evidence of a shift that has happened. The question isn't whether your beloved has shifted. The question is, can you trust it before you see it? Can you let the inner evidence be enough? Can you live in the knowing that the person you love is already the person who loves you back, even while your physical eyes are still seeing the old version? Because right now, as you read this, your specific person is different. They don't know why they can't stop thinking about you. They don't understand why their feelings are changing. They can't explain the pull towards you that grows stronger every day. But it's happening. It's already happened. The shift is complete. Now you're just waiting for it to appear. The ex who walked away, the person who said they didn't feel the same, the one who chose someone else, the beloved who seemed to have moved on completely. They've all already shifted in consciousness. They're all already becoming the version who loves you, chooses you, returns to you. The consciousness shift has occurred. The physical shift is following. The only thing left is for you to trust it, to live as if it's already done, to stop looking for physical proof and start accepting inner knowing, to recognize the signs for what they are, not previews but evidence, not hope but confirmation. So tonight when you do your sats, don't imagine the shift happening. Feel that it has already happened. Feel your beloved as they already are in consciousness, loving you, wanting you, returning to you. Don't create the shift. Recognize it. Don't hope for the change. Celebrate it. The shift is complete. Your beloved is already different. The signs are everywhere. Now trust what you see in the unseen and watch the seen catch up. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this video has helped you recognize the shift that's already occurred, share it with someone who needs to see their signs confirmed. Subscribe if you want to continue exploring the power of consciousness and manifestation. And remember, your specific person has already shifted. You're not waiting for the change. You're waiting for the reveal. Until next time, trust the inner evidence, honor the signs, and know that what has shifted in consciousness must shift in reality. It's law. It's done. It's only a matter of time. They've already shifted. Now watch them show it.